Hello. I'm sorry that it has taken so long to do this faux vellum tutorial. We had the flu around here, so it took a lot out of both of us. Even though I wasn't real sick, my husband was, and it took a month to get to feeling better. So anyways, we're going to do the faux vellum tutorial. You've asked me for this. Several people have. I showed it to you in this possibilities journal. This piece right here. I think there was another piece in here. Of course, I can't find it. Huh. Oh well. Anyways, this is, oh, here it is, right here. Anyways, this is the tutorial on how to do it. It's not difficult, and I thought that I had sort of thought it up on my own, and then I watched Shannon Green video, and I will give you a link to hers. She sort of did it before me, and I'm sure there's many people that have done it before myself. So I'm just going to give you an idea of what I'm going to do. We're going to need a few things to do this, and I do it with lots of different kinds of paper. I love, love, love the plain white. It gives you a really nice vellum-y kind of thing. So let's set this aside, and I'll tell you the things you're going to need. First, you're going to need something to use as your mat. And I use this. It's Reynolds freezer paper. And the reason I use this is because I found that this works really well. Freezer paper is coated, and it says plastic coated. This is what you want. Reynolds freezer paper, plastic coated. I've had this roll a long time. Now, you could also use your craft mat because nothing will stick to it. My problem is I want to make more than one piece at a time, so the craft mat only lets me make one piece. So we need that. Then you're going to need some Mod Podge. Now, I believe Shannon used Yes Paste. I'm not sure how that works because I used Mod Podge. This is the matte finish Mod Podge, and I buy it in this big container, and I use my coupon at the craft store. So, now I take that Mod Podge and put it in a smaller container, and I mix a little water with it. I do not like the thickness of it. I think it's too thick, so I didn't mix this up this morning. I left it so that I could show you and stir it up and give you a thickness. So you just add a little water so that it thins it down just a little bit. So, you know, maybe a 1/6 water to the Mod Podge. It's kind of like white glue once you get it done. Now, I am sure PVA or one of those other things would probably work for this. I just have never tried it. This is my version of faux vellum. So you're also going to need a brush, and you're going to need tissue paper. Now, there are all kinds of tissue paper. I don't know where some of these have come from because I have had them in my stash for a long time. You can use printed tissue paper. This is one of my favorites, is pattern paper. I love the color this gives you. And frankly, I like this tissue from the Dollar Tree. It's thin, but it's not real thin. So, and it gives you a really nice paper weight. This is just some white wrapping crafts packaging. Anyways, it is very, very thin. I'll show some of them to you. This is one of the heavier tissues. And this is the really thin one. You can see how real thin it is. This is kind of in between, and this is the dollar store tissue. And I think it's about the same weight as the pattern tissue. So you want kind of a thin one. These thicker ones, they're pretty, but they don't give you the same look. So I like the little bit thinner paper, but this real thin one was a little bit tricky to work with. So the other thing you're gonna want is probably some clips to hold your corners down on your freezer paper. Okay, now we're going to work with this freezer paper with the shiny or plastic side up. And the only reason you need clips is because otherwise it wants to roll in. We're going to take our tissue paper and our brush, and we're going to apply the thinned Mod Podge. Now you want to be careful and apply this from the center out. You don't need a real thick coating. Oh, and I use my freezer paper over and over again. And you want to take it easy and gentle, especially on the first pass. This is kind of like gluing in your glue book. It's very satisfying to spread glue all over everywhere. And you notice that it's a thin coat I'm putting on. I am not putting on a big globby coat. It's just a thin coat. And you try to spread it out. Okay. Now, one of the most important things I can tell you about doing this: let it dry. You cannot rush this. If you rush it, it will tear coming off the freezer paper. So you want to let it dry. So what you're going to do is, through the magic of television, you're going to set this aside, and we have a nice dry piece. Now on this piece, it's very dry, and you want to sort of take your fingernail and just kind of slide underneath the edge of it. You want to take your time taking this off of here. It is stuck. And just run up the side. And very gently peel it off. Now some of it will come off with some stuff on there. Don't worry about that. You can cut that off later. You're going to turn it over, and you're going to do the same thing on the back side. Now remember, that was totally dry before you started. Now on the second coat, it's a little easier to get this stuff on quickly because it's a little stiffer. And you're just going to cover it all over. I usually start in the middle, just like I did on the first coat. And ta-da! That's done. And you're going to set this aside. And remember, the most important thing about the whole process is letting it dry. Now, on your really heavy tissues, let me get these all back over here. On your heavy tissue papers, 2 coats is probably enough. It's not as see-through, and it's a little sturdier, so you don't need as many coats of the Mod Podge. But when it comes down to your thinner papers, and this is the real thin one, you look, and it's really hard to see this clear stuff, but 2 coats leaves it a little flimsy. I go ahead and once the second coat is dried, I very carefully peel it off again, flip it over, and put a 3rd coat on it because it just gives it just a little more body. So, but it still gives you that translucent, not quite clear, not quite paper look to it. And that's on the real thin stuff, and on this, there again, see the left one is only 2 coats, this one's 3 coats. It just gives you that little bit more stability. This would probably be fine for a lot of things you want to do with it, but this just gives it to me a little bit nicer, and it still gives me that kind of translucent vellum look. Now see, that was something very simple, and I'm sorry it took so long to get it done. But if you like my videos, please give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to do videos more and more often, and I really appreciate the fact that you come and watch me and spend time with me. And thank you very much for coming. And if you have any questions, make sure to comment. If you want to see me do any videos that you can think of, please make sure to comment, and I will do my best to answer you right away. And thanks a bunch. Oh, make sure to subscribe to my channel too.